Welcome back to Groomer Tales, a podcast by Groomer's Choice. I'm your host, Natasha. Today's guest is Wayne Hartley Jr., owner of Happy Hearts Pet Care in Atlanta. After spending more than a decade as a veterinary technician, Wayne found his passion in grooming and has since built a thriving business centered on education, community, and making a difference in the pet industry. Wayne also shares the inspiration behind Happy Hearts Pet Care, his vision for supporting the next generation of pet professionals, and plenty of stories from life behind the grooming table. So let's get started. Here on Groomer Tales, I like to start from the start, go all the way back. Where are you from originally? Did you always want to work with animals? Was there some other dream growing up? Did you want to be an astronaut or something? What did little Wayne want to do?
All right, well, I would say and everybody that works in the pet industry, their story starts off with from a very young age. I
Right?
always wanted to be. No, but I truly did want to work with animals my whole life. My parents would tell me that I would bring strays home all the time, and I would force my mom to take care of our neighborhood cat every time she had babies, and she had plenty of babies, so it was all the time, right? I would bring pets home and I would just ask her, just to always stop at pet stores or go to PetSmart, Petco, play with the cats, just be around animals any way that I could. So growing up, my whole thing was being a veterinarian. That's all I knew was be a veterinarian, go to Tuskegee University, become a veterinarian, and you get to take care of animals the rest of your life. But I learned that there were plenty of other career paths in the animal industry other than working or being a veterinarian. But I really enjoyed, my time through college because I have my bachelor's in veterinary technology.
Okay.
So from Fort Valley State University, and I was a vet tech for almost 11 years. So, and I worked at university setting, general practice settings, specialty hospitals, and it taught me a lot, because at that point in time I was still in pursuit of being a veterinarian. However, I enjoyed the education and being more hands-on with the pets as a vet tech. So that drew me to stay as a vet tech for as long as I did. But I would say, yeah, my whole life has been around being with animals and figuring out how I can be around them more because it's such a release of oxytocin that is like, I just want to be around animals any way that I can in any capacity. So it's definitely been a lifelong thing for me. And anybody that knows me has always been like, there's something you're going to do with animals. We don't know what, but it's going to be something with
Yeah.
animals.
So you were a vet tech for so long. What made you make the switch to grooming then?
I needed to make more money. No, so being a vet tech was fun, but I feel like at some point I was starting to get fatigued. I was getting compassion fatigue. I needed to make more money. It was a point of the vet techs basically running the hospitals and running the staff that we were working at, and the paychecks didn't reflect it because they had us doing so much. We would always compare ourselves to our human counterparts, and we're like, well, they get paid 3, 4 times as much as we do, and they only have to focus on one thing, whereas we have to focus on 10 things, and we don't get paid nearly enough. So the the goal with or not the goal, excuse me, the mindset behind it was, okay, I need to figure out how can I still work in this industry but make some money. And I started off pet sitting and dog walking, especially with a lot of our clients who would come through our hospitals because I'm comfortable with the pets that I'm working with and they're comfortable with me. And it was like, all right, well, if I could make a little extra money outside of working in a hospital, why not? We're
Yeah.
already comfortable with each other. And at that point in time, I was like, all right, well, what else can I do? You know, I've always had a creative side. People would tell me all the time I should have been a theater kid. And I was like, you know what? I should have, my mom should have pursued that at some point, but she was like, no, I'm going to cultivate this animal thing. I was like, all right, well, let's see what creative side I can do. And artistry came out of that. And I was like, okay, well, I do enjoy working with animals. I enjoy educating pet parents. I enjoy being able to use my expertise and my experience as a vet tech. And it came down to, okay, I can give a dog a haircut. I could do this. I can make them look pretty. I could give them a bath. And in the beginning, I didn't realize just how vast the industry was. Like I didn't realize just the hugeness of it, like how many different areas within grooming there was, right? And it was mind blowing, honestly. And I truly enjoy it. It is something that I can see myself doing day after day after. I mean, clearly, we've been doing
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
so long, right? I can do it day after day. And I really love it. I really love it. And I love to be able to see others really fall in love with the industry as well and just really use it as their passion because we all have some type of creative side to us. And to be able to do that through grooming and pet styling like that, it warms my heart. I think it makes me
Yeah.
happy.
I think it's interesting you said you were getting burnt out and had compassion fatigue, so you thought grooming will be easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I go from one extreme to the other, right? No, no, trust me. And that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize just how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was back in 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2019, 2020, right before COVID really hit. I was working out of the hospital. I was grooming out of the hospital that I was working at, and I was also doing some house calls at the time. And then COVID happened. People didn't want people in their homes. I ended up buying a van, and I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool until, traffic and until weather and everybody doesn't live the same. So I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool. Okay. I can survive. I can do this.
Yeah.
No, but I will say it definitely has its extremes because yeah, you want to work with animals, but you work with people a lot more, and a lot of people don't get that. They're like, I just want to work with animals. Well, if you just want to work with animals, go be a conservationist or go do research and work with other, go be outside of the service industry because you have to talk to the people a lot more,
Right.
and let me tell you that is that is a handful in itself.
People are, yes, they're a whole other thing, that's for sure. All of this has led you to now, you're based out of Atlanta, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you have Happy Hearts Pet Care. And so at Happy Hearts, is it also vet stuff or is it just grooming? You do a little bit of everything, it sounds like. So,
So we'll have our bi-monthly vaccine pop up, and we're closely partnered with the other veterinarians that are around us. So if anybody needs anything, we refer out. I believe, you have to definitely network around with other businesses that are close by. But as far as our services, we'll do as well as grooming, daycare, training, and some overnight care as well. It's very small. We only have a few units that are available for overnight care because I didn't really want it to be like a huge operation to where we're just booked out with boarding, but we at least basically have the whole room or suite for maybe like 1 to 3 dogs to where it's like they still get one-on-one service and they're not cramped up all day long. So we'll offer it, but it's not one of our main things like
yeah.
grooming is.
So were you born and raised in Atlanta or how'd you end up in Atlanta?
Oh, New York.
Okay,
I remember. Yes, yeah. Going back to your first
okay.
question.
No, and I
Yes.
kind of like, we got on other stuff and I was like, oh yeah, where's he from originally? I forgot I asked that as well. So
No, yeah. So I was born and raised in New York, in Queens, New York, Far Rockaway, and I moved down to Atlanta, Georgia in high school. So basically, yeah, was Jonesboro. So I moved to Jonesboro, Georgia, out here in high school. So I've been here now for 21 years.
oh, there you go.
Yes. So everybody's Well, no, now you're from Atlanta because you've been in Atlanta a lot longer than you've been in New York. I'm like, all right, whatever. At this point,
Right.
I'm not even gonna argue.
You mentioned in the animal world, even you were surprised how many different directions you could take it. And one of those is competition grooming, creative grooming. Have you done much of that, of either of those
Uh,
things?
As far, well, competition wise, not really, but we do dabble into creative grooming. We get a few people that may want like just the simplest things, but I am open to like really exploring to seeing what I can do. But we get, they just well, just throw some color on my dog, and we're like, all right, fine, all right, you know. So I'll do the creative stuff with like my personal dog. So we put on different animal prints in different areas, or I'll play around with lightener to have it lightened in one area and then put color in like those lines. But then as far as competition, I would like to get back into it. I have done it once, and I think that's what really helped progress a lot of our optics as far as like with the shop. Because once I started getting into competitions, then of course businesses are like, or companies are like, hey, what are you doing over there? How can we support you? So I'm like, all right, cool. But since then, it's just been really focusing on how to create supplemental income in other places. But I do want to get back into the competition ring. I think I want to, not I want to. Okay. I have to realize, all right, I'm going to.
Right. Manifest it.
Yeah,
Manifest
right,
it.
exactly. I'm going to do the rescue roundup this year in Colorado. And then there's plans on doing competition at Fun in the Sun as well this year as well. So I have two opportunities to do that this year. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes out for that. You were a vet tech, all these sorts of things. You worked at a vet hospital, it sounds like. So, what inspired you to start your own salon? Was there a specific moment where you were like, I need to be doing this for myself? What sparked that?
Well, so let me see. When I was grooming out of the hospital, they wanted a high, crazy amount. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me because I'm doing it outside of business hours. And I told you all before, but you realize just how profitable it was because we had a lot of people that was coming in asking for grooming and they wanted 60%. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not even going to make any money at that point. So absolutely not. So then I stopped grooming there and I ended up start just doing more house calls, and I was doing house calls for a while, and that was around when COVID started. So of course, then people wanted their space, and then again, everybody doesn't live the same, so you have to find out where you can groom the dogs. Some days it's raining, some days it's cold, some days it's hot, some days it's windy. And let me tell you, that's a whole nother extreme when it comes down to house calls. So I was like, all right, what do I need to do now? I ended up finding a van and I ended up outfitting it and which was great. It helped for about 2 years. And then at that point in time, I got tired of traffic. I got tired of the elements. I got tired of being outside. It was just like, all right, progression, progression. All right, what's the next step? And what's funny is I prayed and I said, God, I don't want to do this anymore after my 30th birthday. I'm tired. And literally the day before my birthday, my van broke down. But
Oh,
by that time, I already invested in my storefront because I had moved to downtown Atlanta. And I was at that point in time, I was saving up to put everything inside of the shop. So it was still getting outfitted. I was saving up for supplies in the shop and everything. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I ended up praying. The van broke down the day before, and I was like, "You're funny, like you're funny because you broke my van's not working, so I can't use my van anymore. So it forced me to use my shop, and I just ended up. It was it was during that time of I was still hustling. I was bathing dogs in the van because the plumbing wasn't done yet. I was bathing dogs in a van, I was drying them in the shop and grooming them in the shop. So I was still using both, but I just
Right.
couldn't drive around to do what I needed to do as far as mobile grooming. So that worked for maybe like 2 months, and I ended up just getting everything I needed for the shop, and it worked out since, and we've been there. We just passed 4 years,
There you
so
go.
it was it's definitely a testament of resilience because ooh, you go through some obstacles trying to be in this industry. Okay,
Yeah, it just sounds like you had to fast track everything for the brick and mortar.
I did, I did because it forced me to. And and it's like you ask for certain things and you manifest things and you speak it into existence and put it out into the universe. And then the universe is like, you asked for it, here you go. So now it's like, all right, thanks. Yeah. Okay.
I guess
I
I'll
gotta do
figure
what
it
I
out.
gotta do.
And so, where did the name Happy Hearts come from, or what does that mean to you?
Everything, honestly. So my dad passed away last Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving before last. And he had heart issues. So he had a heart transplant back in 2001.
Wow.
And I would always tell him, Dad, you got to keep your heart happy. You got to keep your heart happy because I need you around forever. You got to see your grandkids. You got to see me build this empire that I'm building. You have to be around. So you have to keep your heart happy. And it was basically a tribute to him
Oh,
when
I
he
love
came down
that.
to it. So at first it was going to be heart to heart pet care business or pet care services, but that was taken. So I was like, all right, well, what else can I name it? And Happy Hearts Pet Care came to fruition, and it was because of him. So that's why I'm like, it means everything to just I put everything into it because it means so much to me.
Yeah, I love a story like that. Honestly, without knowing you super well, I thought you were just going to be like, "Well, we just want to make our customers happy." Like that's it's a lot deeper than that. I'm sure it's
It
on
is.
levels. It has levels.
It does. It does. And that's why I'm like, I put a lot into it. I try to make it, just as inviting and homey. And, we focus on education. We focus on just bringing everybody together and building a community because I'm like, there's so much that has gone into it that a lot of people don't realize. So, how can I honor him in a way that allows us to do everything that we need to do on our end? So, it's a lot it's a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of everything being a lot, how do you balance being a groomer, being a business owner, being on socials? Do you just have a really elaborate calendar, or how do you keep it all
I
balanced?
know. I know. I'm I watched the video the other day. I'm tired all the time. Like, okay. No, I tell people now, I'm like, look, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. Right? Because there's so much that needs to get done. And a lot of people are asking, like they will ask, how do you balance it all? How do you do all of these things? And I'm like, yeah, because you have what, 4 businesses. We're working on building out this nonprofit, balancing time with the family, and then my own time. And my me time is between 5 and 7 a.m. That's the only time that I really have to myself. And I go to the gym. So I'm like, okay, that is my me time. Everything else is like building the businesses and doing my to-do list and handling tasks, meeting, things like that. But it's work. I would say the biggest thing is understanding that there's a bigger goal here and just fulfilling this mission, right? Because this is what the passion is about, this is what the purpose is. So I don't really feel bad necessarily that I don't have a lot of time. It's getting other people to understand why I don't have a lot of time, because it's, well, I'm fulfilling this thing that has been put on me because I'm like, all right, between building this grooming empire, building, our networking businesses, doing stuff for the youth, and, putting events together that brings pet professionals together. I'm like, there's so many things and so many wheels turning And I'm like, okay, hopefully all of this work inspires somebody to help me because I need help. But it's like, all right, I'll just boots on the ground, do what I got to do until, it happens. But I would say I still try to find time, like you said, when it comes down to it, because people need time. People need your time. And I tell them that how important it is. So whatever you find important, that's what you should prioritize as well. Time with the kids. I make sure Sundays are their day. I make sure, after a certain amount of time, after school or something like that, that's their time. Outside of that, when they're asleep, I might give myself some time to do some work or something like that, or schedule it on other days. My Mondays are my freest days to make things happen. But you just, you, people, the saying goes, people make time for what they find important and what
Mm-hmm.
they want to make time for. So I make time for these things while I still try to balance it all. But trust me, there is no, it's all chaos. Okay. It's all chaos. No, I'm just playing, but it's
Yeah.
nice. You just got to put it on your calendar. You just have to set boundaries and remember to take care of yourself first and foremost, because if you can't do it, then nobody else is going to do it until you get to that point where you have all of these people doing the things that you need to get done. So you got to take care of you first.
You mentioned some of the nonprofits. Pet X, right, is one of them.
Yeah.
Pet Lana Project. Tell us
Hmm.
about all those things, all the things. Tell us more about all the
Gotcha.
things.
Whew, you got more time. So no, all right. So obviously, so of course I have Happy Hearts Pet Care. That's the grooming business. Aside from that, I started the PetX Network. The PetX Network is our courses, education, podcast, media, bringing other pet professionals together just so that we can build a network with one another, and then also provide those resources and education around like how to take their businesses serious and how to make sure that they have what they need for success. Because trust me, there's so many things going out, but they are winging it or feeling like they're doing it by themselves. So the goal is to build up a community of people to get them to understand you're not by yourself in this. You just
Right.
have to be around the right people to help teach you and have those resources for success. So that's the network side. The nonprofit side starts at the PetX Foundation. And with the foundation, our goal is to cater to the youth. So be able to job placement, after school programs, summer programs, scholarships, being able to help cultivate that love for and that representation in the pet industry. So then that way we can help them guide them so that they can be in the right direction or be on the right track for if they want to go to school or start their own trade, business, whatever. And that way they have help, you know, how to market, how to build their business, how to make it legit, how to, budget or save money or do get the supplies that they need. Because a lot of people are like, well, how do I start a business? But they don't necessarily have the resources to do so. So especially right outside of high school, you can start making money during the summer. And it's easy. You can start dog walking for free. It's just a matter of marketing yourself to do so and having the right things in place. So that's the foundation. And sort of, so we modeled it after the Boys and Girls Club or the Humane Society, to where they have a headquarters, but they have different chapters. So our first chapter is Petlanta out of the foundation. And with that, it's just a way for us to bring other pet professionals that are around. So veterinarians, daycare owners, pet sitters, dog walkers, pet chefs, groomers, they're all part of our network. So then that way, when we do need help with putting on events and that representation and education for the youth, we have people who we can call on and we already know that they'll be able to do that. But with the chapters itself, we have our own events. We have our own networking and mixers and education that coincides with the network. It's like this web, right? It makes sense in my head, right? And
I'm
then
following. I'm following.
okay, great. And then so right now we just have Petlanta. Our goal by the end of this year is to expand into Orlando, and that would be called Petlando. So it's basically just following the model of bringing pet professionals together so that we can, just build that community in our local area. And then when it comes down to our goals is to really cater and be represent the youth so that they have what they need while they're growing through this industry as well. And then I have another business that I'm forming as well. And then no, it's called Pet Express, and it's in the works right now as far as just having a financial resource for pet parents so that the financial burden isn't as much on them when it comes down to pet care. So, more rewards. We're working on different options as far as just really helping them out financially. And then that way we can start to retain more as business owners and really incentivize pet parents to continuously use the smaller businesses and keep them on a recurring schedule so that they don't have to worry about, oh, you're too expensive, or I have to juggle whether or not paying the light bill versus getting the right food or something like that, right?
Right.
Or I can't take my dog to the vet because I can't afford it. Now you have a financial option that really helps eliminate that stress, and you could pay it off over time or get rewarded for using those businesses. And now it just creates this ecosystem of better pet parenthood. So
Yeah.
it's
Wow. Look at
it's
you.
all it's all a work in progress.
All
Ooh.
that in 24 hours a day? How are you doing it?
uh, I'm doing my best. I understand that you can only do so much. So don't stress out with what doesn't get done today. Delegate what you can. Understand that tomorrow's another day. Get done with what you can. Rome wasn't built in a day, so don't stress yourself out trying to make all of this happen today. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of keep doing the small steps that a lot of people don't necessarily want to take or sees being taken, and keep doing it, and eventually you'll get there. It's just a matter of just doing it, you know,
Hmm.
just doing
Yeah.
it, just getting it done.
While you were talking about helping the youth, it made me realize I didn't ask, how did you learn to groom? Did you apprentice or did you take classes? Or yeah, we kind of just went from vet tech to groomer, but like
Right. Yeah. No. Besides YouTube University, a lot of it was self-taught. A lot of it was trial and error in the beginning, and I was like, "Oh wow, y'all really trusted me to groom your dogs. Like, that's crazy." But thank you for the experience. But I also worked at a grooming salon in Stone Mountain, Patty's Furtopia. So shout out to Patty. She instilled a lot of wisdom and skill when it came down to learning how to groom. And I took that and I was working at Patty's before I got my van. And then when I got the van, that's when I took on grooming full time at that point in time. So I had a good, maybe about a year at Patty's. And then besides that was a lot of self-taught and going to classes, getting education, and just surrounding myself around other groomers just to learn different techniques. So one of the biggest things that I've done in the beginning, Brian, my friend Brian in New York, he had the pup relief tour, and he was bringing other groomers around, and we groomed for those who was affected by COVID, so they couldn't necessarily afford grooming. So went around to different cities and groomed dogs for free, which was great. And that really opened my eyes to see other groomers that really thought like me and was able to really help out with different techniques. So just being around the right people definitely helped out with where I am today.
I think in any industry you kind of need to
Yeah,
find your village kind of thing.
so 1000%.
What role does social media play in your business? Do you make it a priority, or has it helped grow the business? Because there's
For sure.
pros and cons to the social media game. So,
Oh yeah, no, social media is a full-time job in
yeah.
itself. Okay, we were just talking about that the other day. There's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Nextdoor, LinkedIn. Snapchat,
Threads, maybe X. I
Threads,
don't know,
yes,
whatever you want to
Threads,
do.
Twitter, X, yes, absolutely. So there's already 9 businesses, right? There are 9 social media platforms, and I would say it's a huge market when it comes down to marketing your business. It shows people that you have fun. It shows people that you love what you do. It shows people that you're authentic. We've stepped away from just the before and after pictures, but people are actually starting to make more videos and show their characteristics and just how they love what they do, going live more, just getting in front of the camera and educating pet parents. So I would say it's a huge help when it comes down to it. I think a lot of people are stressed out with what to post and how to post and when to post and things like that, because there's so many different opinions on, just the algorithm and everything like that. I think once you realize, hey, I'm going to post whenever I want to post, I'm just going to have fun, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to look at it as a job. There are people who get paid to be social media managers and things like that. That's not your job. Your
Yeah.
job is not to be a social media manager. Your job is to post and to be authentic and to be happy, showcase what you do, what you love to do, show your smile. Just be happy doing what you're doing, whatever it is, right? And show your customers what you stand for, how you want to educate them, what you expect from them, things like that, because you'll get a lot more customers on social media than not these days, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many cards I've handed out at breweries, at stores, restaurants, dog parks, dog walks, parks, regular parks, whatever. And I will either write my name on it or I'll write a discount code on the back of it. None of them usually ever come back. But people are like, I saw you on social media. I saw you on TikTok. I saw you on Instagram. I saw you on Facebook. That made me want to, book my dog and everything. So I would say it's a huge help when it comes down to, just building up clientele. It's just a matter of understanding, have fun with it. Don't look at it as another job. Don't try not to let it stress you out, because you will try, you'll
Yeah.
say, oh, it needs to be perfect before I post it. Don't attempt to be perfect. Just
Yeah.
attempt to have fun and be authentic. Like,
Yeah.
show your
More relatable if you're
mistakes.
not
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like we try, but try to just have fun,
Yeah.
and be consistent, try to at least post. So like the top 3 to me would be Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And we forgot YouTube. I think, did we say YouTube?
You said
Did we?
YouTube. I
I
think you
did
had
say
it in
YouTube?
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, see, long form or shorts on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think that's more so, vlogging and just having more educational things on there. But like your top 3 for client retention or client acquisition would be Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, because those are the top 3 that a lot of people are on, especially for short form content. It's just a matter of just saying, hey, I love what I do. I have a passion for it. Book with me,
Yeah.
and then show your work. But so many people get stressed out about it. And I'm like, it's literally just take a picture or a quick video of your dog, put a cute video, a cute little music behind it, and post it,
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you'll start to see like the retention and the engagement from it. And you'll want to try different things, different put it on CapCut. And you have different themes and the way that they transition and do the different transitions and things like that. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Don't just
Yeah.
think of it like, oh, I gotta do it. No.
This episode of Groomer Tales is brought to you by Healthy Skin & Coat. Every grooming salon sees it. Pets struggling with itchiness, flakes, redness, hot spots, and irritated skin. Healthy Skin & Coat's skin-first grooming approach gives groomers a complete professional solution to cleanse, restore moisture, and maintain healthier skin and softer coats. Healthy Skin & Coat's powerful ingredients like chlorhexidine to help cleanse and support troubled skin, plus hydrocortisone to help soothe irritation and itching, designed to bring comfort pets can feel and results pet parents can see. Shop now at groomerschoice.com. Now, back to Groomer Tales. If someone is listening to this and they're feeling stuck or burned out, what advice would you give them?
Go take a break.
There you go.
Take,
Go touch grass, right? That
go
whole
touch
thing.
grass. Yes. Book a vacation. Go pamper yourself. Find something that makes you happy. Put some time back into yourself. You know, artists get stuck, authors get stuck, business owners get stuck. Everybody gets stuck every once in a while, but that's a sign that you've put a lot into your work and you're not seeing a return. So at some point in time, you need some time for you to realize, okay, what's working, what's not working, how do I pivot? As long as you don't give up, it's just a matter of you need to now take time for yourself because you
Yeah.
put so much time into everything else. So go take a break, you know, go for a drive, you know, book a hotel room, get out of your house for the evening. You don't have to go far. You can just go to the nearest city
Yeah.
or whatever and just book a hotel room. Order some room service, take yourself to a nice restaurant. Like go touch grass.
Whatever your thing is, just do a little of that.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
go sit in the sun a little bit. Just
Oh,
do
yeah.
something.
Yeah. I agree. I always say I'm solar powered. The sun just
Yes.
makes me happy somehow. I don't know.
Absolutely. And and because and one thing that I realize is a lot of people, they don't necessarily take a lot of time for themselves, but they don't really invest in themselves or do a lot of personal development. So when it comes down to personal development, invest in yourself a little bit, read a
Yeah.
book or listen to podcasts, something. Do something. Just do something outside of work,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
And I've heard that from a couple other people that have been on the podcast about sometimes, grooming or just animals in general was somebody's hobby, and then they turn that hobby into work. But now what do you do for fun? You still have to
Right.
have something outside of this to, like you said, something outside of work, do something
Right.
different. Yeah.
And not I think, I am figuring that out too, because I don't want it to be work. I don't want it to be something that I just have to do. I'm figuring out how to get out of the I have to work or I have to groom and change it with I get to do this. I get to go to
Mm-hmm.
work. I get to run this business. I get to groom these dogs every day. Because when you have a different vocabulary about it, it changes your mindset too. So now that I get to do this, I have more pride in it. I have a lot more fun. You really get to see the passion and the fun with it. So it's like just really getting out of that mindset about it, but you have to also figure out how to supplement your income, because if we're relying on it, solely for our income and all of our eggs is in this basket, how do we make more money outside of this? How do you expand into different services or expand into retail or invest in something else that gives you a return somewhere else? Because when you have money coming in elsewhere, or you just price, high enough to where it makes sense, then at that point in time, the stress of having to work goes out the window, because I
Yeah.
get to do this. When you have a select clientele who doesn't mind paying $300 for a groom, we're going for walks. We're sitting down watching movies. Like, I get to come back in 4 hours. Your dog will be great, but trust me, your dog is gonna have a great time. I don't mind it. I get to go my pace, things like that. And I think we get so bogged with just stressed out with just trying
Mm-hmm.
to make meets end. And we just got to figure out how to supplement that income somewhere else too. And in that way, you'll start to see more people really having more fun with it and enjoying it a lot more, because you don't do art and be creative because it's a job. You do it because you enjoy it. So
Right.
when you actually get back to enjoying it, you figure out other ways to keep it that way.
On a lot of your website and all these different projects you have going on, there's a lot of talk about an inner circle concept. Why do you focus on that sort of alignment over volume of clients per se? What does that mean to you, having that inner circle? I think I've heard this before too. They kind of relate to each other, where it's like community over competition kind of thing.
For sure.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So on the client part, having an inner circle with your clients is important, because you want those people who will be here for years. You want those people who you will grow up with this pup. Like they're happy about coming. They already know what to expect. They grew up with you rather than having your one-off clients that you only see once a year or twice a year or whatever. So having an inner circle with your clientele is important, or having people who really rock with you and you reward them for loyalty because they will keep coming to you no matter what the price is, no matter whatever. As long as the experience is there, then it makes up for whatever else, the price is or how long it might take or whatever the case may be. With the community, you definitely want to have people around you who are like-minded. You want people who are going to encourage you to keep pushing on or keep you accountable. You keep each other accountable. You can call on each other and just say, hey, I'm going through XYZ. Can you help me? Or, I just need somewhere to vent. I just a safe space to do so, and people who actually understand, as opposed to having those who you feel like is a safe space and they may use it or not have your best intentions at heart and things like that, because there are people who are like that as well. And one thing I tell people, I'm like, yeah, we can try to get out of this competition versus community mindset, and the only time you're my competition is when that timer starts and we're in the ring. But outside of that, you're supposed to be my community. You're supposed to be someone I can call on and rely on and be able to use as a sounding board, and we can help each other get better. We're supposed to help each other get better in this, because that's why a lot of people may not take it as serious, and that's client wise. They may not take it as serious because they don't necessarily see the community. They don't one You could have one groomer charging $65 while you have another grooming charging $165. They're going to go to the $65 one, but then complain and then be like, all right, well, I guess I see the difference if I go to the
Right.
$165, as opposed to the higher one helping the cheaper one get better. So then now the pricing actually reflects the quality of work. But instead, there's a competition like, oh, you're going to steal my clients if you get better. You're going to steal my clients if you know what I know. You're going to steal my clients. And I'm like, no, your clients are for you. It is what it is. If they go, let them go.
Yeah.
But you're making room for people who respect your business. You're making room for people who respect your quality of service and your skill level. So it's just a matter of saying, hey, I want to make this industry what it needs to be. And in order for you to do that, you got to be around people who understand. We have to hold each other accountable. We have to encourage each other. We have to be around each other. We have to check in. We got to make sure that everybody is okay, things like that. And whatever they need, you're there for that. And that's how you really build that community within the industry. But when that timer goes off, it's all fair and games at this point. Okay. So whoever comes out on top. But once that timer goes off, we're friends. We're cool people. So it's just you have to understand that it's important to have people around you that really support you on the client side and on the industry side. It's just a matter of being that person who really sets those boundaries and cultivates what they expect from the people that they have around them.
You run a business and a team. So, how has your past shaped the way you lead your team?
Ooh, good question. I have gone through a lot of crappy management styles, from veterinary hospitals to, yeah, different types of veterinary hospitals. So you see how everybody handles certain situations, and then you also hear things from other hospitals as well. Because I haven't worked for a lot of grooming salons, but I also have seen how other grooming salons handle their people and things like that. And some of them, I'm jealous. I would love to get there. They they're doing amazing work out here. So it's like my goal with leading my team has always been leading the team, not managing people, because I also understand they are people at the end of the day. So I can't really be mad if they have personal things going on or whatever the case may be. I have to still cultivate a positive work environment because I need you. I need you. So in order for you to actually want to be here, I have to make sure that the environment is where it needs to be, like you have what you need, but also understand this is a business at the end of the day. It's not a hobby, it's not a hangout place. You still have to treat it professionally, but at the same time, I'm going to treat you like a human. I'm going to treat you like I need you.
Right, right.
Because I don't want to do this all day long. Like, I don't want to be in all of the places and do everything. I need you to be here. I need you to be happy. So, what can I do to make you happy? And how can I support you in your journey as well? Because everybody doesn't have the same journey. So, some people may want to do things totally outside of the industry, or some people may want to be, a master groomer or have all of these certificates and education. Like, how can I support that as you continue to grow, while you're helping me achieve the things that I'd like to achieve? Because ultimately, this is how us making money here with grooming is how I can fund everything and do everything else that I need to do. So how can I help you be happy with what you're doing so that you can continue to help me do all of these things too? Because I'm so invested in you the way that you're invested in me, because granted, I'm still here. I'm still grooming 5 days a week. So how do I, or 4 days a week now, but how do I help you do what you need to do? And I think that's important because, once you invest in them, they see like how hard you work and how you're invested back in them. And the respect is interchangeable at that
Yeah.
point. It's work. And it's a lot of professional development and patience and reading and listening and implementing. And you got to be unafraid of bad feedback. You
Yeah.
have to welcome it actually, because it reveals those cracks that you feel like it's good, but until you get feedback saying, hey, you probably need to improve in these areas, and you're like, oh, okay. You could either take it as you're not going to tell me what to do, or you could take it as you're right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do need to do better. So I'm the, it sucks to hear this, but you're right.
And it's
Fine.
kind of,
You
isn't that
know,
kind of like with grooming? To get better at grooming, you have to take the critique sometimes, you know?
exactly.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
exactly right. You have to be willing to see where you messed up in order to do better.
Hmm.
Uh, you just gotta take it with a grain of salt, and it is what
Yeah.
it is. But that's leadership.
What's one grooming misconception you wish more pet parents understood better?
When I groom your dog today, it doesn't last for 5 weeks. Okay, I need okay. My grooming, the smell probably lasts for maybe a week to two. Actually, your dog being this blown out and brushed out and combed out and everything is probably going to last maybe 48 hours, right? 48 hours, 72 hours. You still need to comb and brush, and you still need to do what you need to do at home in the time that I don't have your dog. Because just like with our hair, if I'm blowing this hair out and it's all over the place, it's probably going to last for a good few days. It's going to look great. Granted, it's still going to look great because it's going to have its shape and everything, but you still have to do what you need to do at home to maintain it. You have to use a comb, you have to get down to the skin, you have to brush your dog out, use detangling sprays or leave-in conditioners, do what you got to do. Okay, but I it's not that in between time, that 5, 4, 5, 6 weeks in between time that I don't see your dog, you got to do what you got to do.
Speaking of that, so how do you educate your clients without making them feel bad? Have
Uh,
a
some,
special way you
some,
go about it?
sometimes you do have to make them feel a little bad. Sometimes you gotta lay it on there thick. Sometimes you have to. Now, I will say there's of course ways to communicate it. There's definitely ways to communicate it a little easier, but that's where the education comes in, like the educational side. Actually sitting there showing them. But I will send you pictures of your dog being matted. I will send you videos or pictures of me pulling the fur away from the skin. Hey, even though this outside looks brushed out, this is what it looks like closer to the skin, and this is what you got to do. But I'll also educate them and I'll send them recommendations on what to use at home and things like
Yeah.
that. I might, if I could get around to sending them videos, I'll send them videos too, you know, but it's just a matter of you sometimes you gotta have tough love and really like
You've worked with animals, like it sounds like, for forever
Uh-huh.
in one capacity or another. So what do you think has been the biggest change in the pet industry in your time working professionally?
There's a lot of different innovative tools and stuff, you know, now. In the last 6 years, I will say there's been a lot of groomers that are more confident in their work and they're, you know, really stepping out of the box and exploring networking, exploring really showing off their work and being more competitive when it comes down to going in the competition ring and showing their creativity and speaking up. You know, I really like to see this shift in confidence in their, you know, because so many people will complain like what the price may be, or they'll complain about just different aspects of the industry and of the job. But when you don't have enough people speaking up and really taking it serious, then why do we expect other people to take it serious? So now you're starting to see a lot of people take it more serious and expand off of that and really expand like their network or their prices and being able to communicate and being able to grow off of that. So now I like to see that because it's okay, you're getting people who really take it serious or accepting people trying to negotiate their prices or complain about it and make them feel bad. And no, the price is the price. Yes, stand on it and be
Yeah.
okay with it because people don't understand how much time and work goes into grooming their dogs. That's why you come to a professional. So don't discount the industry that we work in just because we work with animals. Like it, trust me, it's not easy at all. So I like that people the industry is starting to get more confident with speaking out about it and getting people to understand like this is not an easy job. Like we
Yeah.
make it look easy, but there's a lot of experience and time and education that goes into it.
And speaking of that education, you mentioned earlier, even with your leadership style, like if someone wants to continue their education or be a certified master groomer, you mentioned like, how can I help them? So what to you is the importance of continued education? How do you keep up with it all?
Look, I try my best. Um, with everything, I try my best. No, I think it's extremely important because again, where things are adapt or evolving. And not only are they evolving, but they are just getting more innovative with different techniques and things like that because we want to charge higher, we want to price higher, we want more consistent scheduling, we want people to understand the education when it comes down to grooming your dog is not just a surface level thing. You know, it goes into coat health, it goes into skin health, it goes into oral health, it goes into ear and eye health, it goes into nail health, like joint health. Like grooming is more than just giving your dog a haircut. Like we do so much for your dog that you don't necessarily see and understand. So when you get into educating yourself on why we do what we do, down to the shears that we use, the shampoos that we use, the conditioners, the sprays, you know, just different masks and different products. Why we do what we do, you educate yourself, and now you're turning in turn able to educate the clients. And when you're able to educate your clients on it, then they're like, oh, you're you're and it sucks to say you're worth how much I'm paying you.
Right,
You
right.
know, because a lot of people don't necessarily feel like they're worth what they're worth. But when it comes down to being confident about how you educate your clients on what we do, why we do, when we do, and why, you know, and how, then it's okay. You know, the price reflects the quality and
Yeah.
the education that's behind it. So I encourage going and getting certifications. I encourage education and, you know, I'm like, I will pay for a subscription for you all to have access to different videos and educational series because I believe in order for us to get better, you have to get better too. In order for
Mhm.
clients to take us serious, you have to know how to communicate and you have to know how to say, explain the why behind what you did, and in order for them to really take their job serious, I feel like they have to be more educated on how to do what they need to do efficiently
Yeah.
and why they do it. So it's an all around system and cycle when it comes down to education. It's just a matter of being able to cultivate that with the right people who actually want to learn and want to do and be better.
You being from the vet side too, you see the importance of the groomer, because the groomer probably sees the dog more than a vet. And so
We do.
groomers are sometimes the first to notice a lump, a bump, a weight difference, all that kind of stuff. So
No, 1000%. And one thing I love that you mentioned that because we do, right?
yeah.
I will tell our receptionist and I'll let them know, hey, we found a scab or we found a bump or a lump or something like that, like at least note it. And because we try to have better relationships with the veterinarians, then we'll call them and say, hey, have you, seen this? Or I just want to make mention of it. Or, hey, we had an overgrown nail, they may need to get seen soon. So I told them to come to you and I'm telling you what we seen. So at this point in time, like there isn't any miscommunication on what was found at the groomers, because also, and sad to say, a lot of the issues that dogs may go through, the first thing that people do is blame the groomer. And it may not be the groomer's fault. It could be a pet parent thing. We try to at least eliminate that just to help save ourselves too. But in turn, there's a lot of benefits when it comes down to having a good relationship with the veterinarians, having a good relationship with the pet parents, and then also taking those necessary steps to kind of cover yourself as well. So taking pictures and videos and notating what you see, things like that. So we in turn become like the first hands-on responders when it comes down to find, like you said, weight differences. We'll notice quickly, like, oh, you're a little chunky. Oh, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is
And
what's
some of
going
those
on.
in some of the dog breeds, especially once the hair's wet or in the bath, you actually see more of the shape of the dog, not just
Right.
the hair. So
There,
it's kind
yeah,
of different. Yeah.
exactly right. It's very important to understand, just and notate those differences as well.
For someone that's wanting to start a business, what's one mistake you made in the beginning that you would tell someone to do this to avoid it?
Hmm. That there's so many. Uh, One, definitely do your research. Research who's around and who you can talk to and be around, because in the beginning I felt like I was by myself until I went to my first expo and I was like, I was so mind blown about how many different businesses were out here, how many people were around me and in Georgia and in Atlanta that I never even known. So it was like, okay, networking is definitely one. I will say one of the biggest mistakes that I did too was also saying yes to everybody. I was mobile, so I was driving around the city all day long. I realized the amount of time it took me to travel from one place to another, that could have been another small dog. That could have been two dogs, and I was losing money traveling all over the place. So when you do, especially just going into mobile, it was really using your time correctly. And you don't necessarily have to say yes to everybody, but you got to stand firm on your boundaries if you're going to stay in a specific area, or cultivate relationships where there are a lot of your customers. So housing communities, living communities, buildings, things like that. If you just set up, you make your money in one day and you didn't have to go anywhere. So there was a lot of things in hindsight. Let's see, when it comes down to your shop or having a standalone salon, I will say one of the biggest things is I don't know. I don't know. Budgeting,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, making sure your money is straight, having the right team is
Yeah.
always the biggest thing, having
I
the
think
right people around you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hear that a lot from the business owners where it's like, I'm good at grooming, I'm not great with taxes, so I just have someone do that. I'm not gonna
That's
try to do
right.
that myself.
Yes, absolutely. I'll happily pay somebody to do something that I don't know how to do. Trust me, because I
Exactly.
would rather not mess it up. But I tell people, I'm like, entrepreneurship or leadership or business ownership is a teacher that keeps on teaching. You know, you will be a forever student as an entrepreneur. You will be a forever student as a business owner because there's always something to learn. There's always something to adjust. There's always something to adapt to. But yeah, there's always lessons
Yeah.
in everything. But I will say the biggest thing is not feeling like you're doing this by yourself. It's important to have the right people around you,
Yeah.
in anything
Collaboration is important. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure, because you'll need a team. And even if you're a solopreneur, like having an accountant, having a financial advisor, having an attorney, having a business coach. You people are like, well, I became the boss so that nobody tells me what to do. No, you will have everybody telling you what to do. Okay, okay, that is, let that go out the window first and foremost. Everybody is going to be telling you what to do. Okay, so you have final say so, but you're gonna have so many people telling you what to do.
Yeah. There's still a
Um,
lot of input. Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Let's just get to some basic kind of grooming stuff. Favorite
For sure.
breed to groom and least favorite.
Schnauzers are my favorite. Shih Tzu puppies are my least
Oh,
favorite.
I can see that. I know in the pet grooming industry, weird is kind of a relative term, but do you recall a weird request you got from a pet owner or a weird animal someone asked you to groom? What's the weirdest thing you've groomed? I don't know.
I would say, as far as requests, my dog doesn't touch the floor. My dog doesn't be around other dogs. Can you just hand scissor my dog? Can you use specific water? Can you use specific shampoo?
Specific water. What does that even mean?
Yes, no, like, yeah, they only want purified water on their dog or to wash their dog, and it's like, it was a headache. Okay. Grooming request, I will say no, because you get those people who are like, well, I just want my dog to be super fluffy and I just want this. And I'm like, all right, well, you got to be doing the work at home in order for you to want your dog super fluffy. That's just the biggest thing you kind of see is people want, these extravagant haircuts or stuff like that, but they don't necessarily know what it takes to maintain at home. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the main reason I keep my hair long enough to go in a ponytail because I just want to put it up sometimes and not worry about it. I don't want to
Same.
maintain.
See, there's nothing I need to do. I can just do a little lineup. There's nothing I need to do. I can put, that's it.
Do you recall a time or have a story about maybe a time where something was kind of dangerous or scary or a close call? Because a lot of times we learn from those situations too.
For sure. We've had, so we're close to a shelter and maybe about like 5, 10 minutes, 10 minutes or so. We're close to a shelter, so like sometimes we'll reach out and let them know, hey, if you have recently adopted pets, they can come here for like their first grooming experience or their first baths and stuff like that. We did have one, but he didn't necessarily tell us like it was their first time. And what happened was the dog got really scared with grooming. And this was like early on in the business. So like we're still figuring things out. I didn't have a magnetic lock on my door. The gate to the front door wasn't necessarily high enough. So like that dog was able to jump over. So I thought it was high enough. So he was scared because we started grooming him. And what happened was he escaped out of the bathing room, jumped like full like sprint, jumped over. And I'm standing there grooming. And like it all happened so fast. Like I'm standing here grooming and he jumped over the gate. And that's why like our gate now is like 5 feet high or 4.5. And because at that point, and the gate to our lobby area, the dogs can see the front, or dogs were able to see the front door from that gate. So they already knew, like their pet parent, they already knew where the escape plan was. So we, are you a Marvel fan?
I mean, I dabble.
Okay. So the thing is, Tony Stark learns from his mistakes.
Right,
So
right,
we
right.
learned from our mistakes, right? So after this dog had jumped over the gate, he did push the door open, and we had to chase him and get him and everything like that. And that was like a good maybe hour and a half that took out of the day. But even with that, we learned like, hey, one, we need a magnetic lock on the door. Two, dogs are not allowed to like really see the front door. So we built another wall there, and they have to go around to go to the lobby. So then that way they're not necessarily seeing the front door. And of course, everybody is better trained about restraining dogs.
Yeah.
And they have to go through two doors in order to get to the grooming area now, instead of leaving all of the doors open to where they're at. And yeah, it was just a lot of
Yeah.
training and
Yeah.
safety protocol from there on out
Part of-
here.
Yeah. And part of that is probably also to get a very thorough
History.
intake. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
history of the dog. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure, because yeah, had we known that your dog was a flight risk, like we would have taken extra precaution, because we don't necessarily like to, we don't cage them, so we allow them to free roam. We allow them to, socialize with the other dogs until it's their time. Now we do have cages in case we need to use them, but we don't necessarily like that's the first thing. But had he told us, like, we would have put them in daycare area, or we would have
Yeah.
allowed him to like roam around in the back as opposed to roaming around in the front. Or we would have known, hey, go slow, or turn the dryers down, or put a happy hoodie over him, or something like that. Like we would have, been better
Yeah.
prepared. So it taught us. It
You
was
learned a
a, it was
lot.
a,
You
it
learned a
was a
lot.
teachable moment. It was a teachable moment for sure.
And then this is my favorite question to ask everybody. What's your best poop story?
Whew. Oh boy. So again, we like to free roam. We like to allow them to socialize. It was one of those things where it was also raining outside. So of course we're like, hey, can you please walk your dogs before you come in? And of course nobody did. We send them messages, we send them reminders. We're like, hey, please walk your dogs before you come in. Had maybe 6 or 7 dogs come in at 9 a.m. and we allowed them to free roam or whatever. I'm still checking in dogs. We had a bather in the back getting started on the first dog. People are still coming in. And mind you, there was a dog that pooped by the back door. There was a dog that pooped by the front door. There was a dog that pooped in the lobby. There was a dog that pooped in the daycare area. There was a dog that pooped next to the grooming tables. And 2 of the piles weren't seen. So of course, as soon as they walk in, stepped on poop. As soon as we start setting up next to our table, there's another poop pile. And it was just, I think they were having a competition that day, because who can put it in the most conspicuous place, because we had to find it, because we were like, I know we can smell it. I know everybody can smell it. So at that point in time, we literally had to just put everybody up, and we had to just say, look, we need to sanitize these floors. We need to disinfect
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Because one thing I do love is like people will come in and say, oh, it doesn't smell like dogs in here, or it doesn't smell like poop. I had to open up the back door. I had to let it air out. There was so there was so much poop. It was so much, and it was everywhere. And I was just like, oh, I'm so over this right now. But yeah, it was just one of those days we all had to spray off our shoes, and we had to stop everything that we had to do to clean up, because it was raining before everybody started showing up. So of course they weren't walked, and I was just like, people, we
Yeah.
have to walk your dogs.
I always,
It's very important.
they always talk about dogs marking their territory, because one of our last family pets, every time we took him to the vet, he'd pee in the lobby. And it
Yeah.
must be like they smell the other,
Smell.
they got to mark their territory. Does that
Yeah,
happen a lot where like they
we
just got to,
do. It do. It definitely does. We try. So the thing is, you got to keep them moving.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You got to keep them moving. Like, all right, they come in, let's take them in the back, let's get them in the daycare area. You got to keep them moving because if they stand around too long, they're either going to mark on the front desk or they're going to mark on, we have a bird cage up there. Dogs have tried to mark the bird cage and lift their legs, or the wet floor sign, or our rug,
Yep,
but
yep.
we got to keep them moving. But yeah, it's one of those things that do happen. So we try to
Yeah.
keep it as limited as possible.
Okay, this is the part of the podcast I call Quick Snips. It's a series of rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay, here we go. Hold up 1 second. Let me see.
It usually doesn't end up being that rapid fire because I get
I
off
got
on
you.
a tangent, but it's fine. Your favorite animal from a TV show or movie?
It's a boomafoo.
Oh, good one. Like PBS.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What's your go-to coffee order? I saw you just had a cup there.
I will either get a caramel iced latte or a honeycomb latte
Oh, okay.
or turmeric latte. Some type of latte.
There you go. Most used emoji.
Oh, I'll say the crying face.
Are you sad all the time? That makes you
Like just the cry. No. Well, like the
the
laughter.
cry
with
happy.
tears.
The
Yeah,
cry,
cry
okay,
happy
gotcha.
one. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
I thought you were just really emo, just real sad
Oh
all the time.
no.
I don't know how you'd have time, but what was the last thing you binge watched?
Found.
Oh, okay.
On
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah. What about the girl where she was kidnapped and then she kidnapped her kidnapper?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then helped other families get found by
Yeah,
other
yeah,
kidnappers.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
That was the last one.
right. And it's weird to see Zach Morris as a bad guy, because he was on Saved by the Bell. But anyway, okay. Like I said, I get on a tangent. There we go. One product or tool you can't live without.
One product. Oh man, my iPad.
There you go. Got to keep everything going.
Yes.
And because this is a Groomer's Choice podcast, but do you
well,
happen to?
I apologize. Well, grooming wise, my shears.
Yeah, but you can say iPad because it's still part of your business.
Okay.
It's still part of your
Yeah.
life. And we are, it is Groomer's Choice. Do you happen to have a favorite Groomer's Choice product? Keep in mind we are now show season as well. So I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I will say the scents.
Oh.
Colognes and perfumes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
Colognes and perfumes for sure.
Okay. And this one doesn't have to be work related. It can be
Okay.
just life. And this is the last one. And some people go, whoa, that was deep compared to the other ones. But what do you still wish to accomplish?
Good question. What do I still wish to accomplish? I guess I'll go into like a major goal. I'm going to have a compound with all of my businesses on the same compound.
There you
that
go.
is something I'm going to accomplish. My nonprofits, after school programs, my grooming salon, veterinary office, everything is going to be on a compounded lot. So then that way everything is where it needs to be.
Oh, a one-stop shop. There you go.
One-stop shop for everything. Yes.
Love
absolutely.
that. And then I started doing this thing on the podcast where I have the last guest ask the next guest a question. And on the last episode was Gisela Lamborghini. She is a groomer out of Miami. And she just wanted to ask you, are you happy?
Yes. There are days where I don't feel like it, but yes. Yes. There's not so great moments, but overall I am because I'm doing what I love to do. Yes.
Love that. And then our next guest is going to be Samantha Hollenbeck. She is a groomer out of Missouri, and she actually won our giveaway a couple years ago, our Great Groomer giveaway. And so, do you have a question for her?
I would say my question for her would be
It can be grooming related. It can be whatever. It can be anything.
I would say I'll ask her. That's so. Oh man, There's so many questions. What's her favorite coffee?
Oh, okay, that works. So here at the end, I'll just let you self-promote, put out your website, your socials, if you have events coming up, just, all that. Go here.
I got you. Well, the biggest thing is I would just love for people to support Happy Hearts Pet Care. So it'll be under Happy Hearts Pet Care ATL on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Go ahead and follow. And then, of course, for pet professionals looking for resources or being able to collaborate and just being able to talk and just have a community around them, check out the PetX Network. So that's the PetX Network. And that is on Instagram and TikTok. And then if you're local to Atlanta, then check out Petlanta. That is our local chapter here in Atlanta, looking to bring other pet professionals together so that we can have different events and collaborations and just be able to get to know one another. So There are 3. So Happy Hearts Pet Care ATL, the PetX Network, and Petlanta.
And then which shows were you going to be competing at? Do you need a cheering section?
So Fun in the Sun, and it was not St. Louis. It was one in Rocky Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Rocky Mountain in Colorado. Yes. And then last but not least, I apologize. Of course, giving love to our foundation. So the PetX Foundation as well. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Anything you didn't get to that you wanted to?
No, I appreciate his time, and we had a great conversation. Thank you, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Groomer Tales, a podcast by Groomer's Choice. Please rate, review, subscribe, and comment wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments about something you heard in this episode, please feel free to email us at groomertalespod@gmail.com. Until next time.